was fun.
That was it. That was fun, right?
That was fun.
Awesome. Well,
what a cool gig. So much fun.
So I do an after show.
Okay.
It's very quick. I don't want to keep you from your family on a Saturday night.
It's okay.
But
I kicked them out.
Your insights. Okay, good. You're enjoying your Moscato.
Mm-hmm. I did kick them out. Yes.
You know what's funny is when I was writing the questions and the games, I was like, done. And then I was putting together my flashcards and I was like, I'm going to ask her what wedding song she likes because I bet she's going to give me a good answer. And when I said that to myself, I swayed and then you swayed when you answered the question. And I was like, I knew it. I just knew she'd get into that question.
That's such an old classic song. When people hear it, even men, you just sort of sink into the song. It's just it's so slow. It just kind of takes you away. It's just, you just get swept up in it. It's just one of those songs.
I love it. Yes. I knew that you were going to have a great answer and that you were going to.
I do have a backup. I have a newer backup. I mean, Speechless is a really good song because I'm a huge Dan and Shay fan. I'm a major Dan.
I don't think I know that song. I'm gonna go Google it right now.
Dan and Shay they're known as country music artists. By the way, I am a very serious country music fan. Very, very, very serious. Like I go to concerts. When we had concerts, can I just tell you, I need to go to a concert. I think I'm having withdrawals. I need to go to a concert.
I know. So, I used to live vicariously through you because I was like a mom in the trenches and you and your husband are out at like concerts and you're like getting all cute for your like mom's nights out. And I'm like breastfeeding my child again. And I'm just like,
I've been there.
I know.
18 months. And that boy, he's still a daddy's boy to the core. Let me tell you.
Oh no. How dare he?
He is a daddy's boy to the core of his being. Let me tell you. But yeah, I love a good concert. But Dan and Shay, they're known as country music artists, but they are what I call crossover country music artists. A lot of their music is country rooted, but sounds not as country as now I'm 50. It's not old school country, and it's not even a lot of new school country, like hardcore country, like Chris Stapleton, who's like actually my favorite. That's old country. That's old country, a little bluegrass in there. But Dan and Shay, they're really, really, I mean, they're very, very popular, but the song Speechless is a huge song. It's actually about them getting married, the two of them getting married. And if you watch the video, it's absolutely adorable. It's about their two weddings because they're really close. And it's very, very cute. It sort of describes the whole experience of getting married and everything. It's really, really cute. That's my newer wedding song, but
that is awesome. Well, I want to ask you some questions.
Sure.
I don't know if you ever watched Inside the Actors Studio. Did you ever see that show?
Oh, I have seen that show. Yes.
You remember at the end, there was always the same questions being asked to all the guests, and they were all like kind of funny questions. So I took inspiration from that and made them pet related.
Okay.
So the first question is, what is your favorite breed? And it can be of any species.
My favorite breed is probably Danes. I grew up with Great Danes and Pit Bulls, so I have a very soft spot for both of them. I am a Dane pity girl because that's what I grew up with. So I'm used to, and the Dane breed was quite a bit larger than when I was growing up. My Great Dane was 272 pounds. He was a big dog, and he was not mixed. It wasn't mixed at all. He was just a big dog. The Dane breed was bigger then, and so. And we didn't know as much about pets then. I rode Joey until he was 12, until I was 12, until I just, I was real skinny, but I was 12. One day he just decided, look, that's enough. Okay. that's
enough. I can't do that anymore.
But yeah, I'm a Dane pity girl. It's just, yeah.
That's so cool. Danes have come up before. That's not the first time. And I think pitties have only been mentioned once. I'm interested to know what your least favorite breed is. Don't hold back.
I hate to say that. Probably, you sort of love to hate them, but Chihuahuas are... They're very
super popular answers.
They're very sweet dogs, but they can be troublemakers. And they are under the belief system that they themselves are the Great Dane, Rottweilers, and Mastiffs of the world, and act in kind. They do a lot of barking and yapping at people and dogs and anything really, the wind if it's blowing too hard. You know, and so it's, I mean, they are sweet dogs. I have an employee who's got, I think 5. I think she's got 5 of them, I think. But so yeah, they're definitely, those are usually my little troublemakers.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Absolutely. They're a popular answer to that question. I'm not going to lie. All right. Do your pets usually sleep in your bed when you have pets?
Now, I will have to go off of the idea of when I go and I do overnights, because my service, we do overnight pet sitting. If they normally sleep in the bed, then yes, they sleep in the bed. Now, I will say the last overnight that I did were 2 80-pound doodles, and they hadn't been groomed recently, and their parents had recently got a one of those cool, very, very expensive. The whole backside of the house is glass, and so that it's a door where there is a door, but the rest of the glass folds and you can open it all the way up. So they have access to go in and out and in and out as they choose and roll around in the dirt and the grime and all of that. And so when I sat and I came for my 8 or 9 day stay, I don't forget how long I was there. You know, one night I decided, I was like, okay, I'll let you guys sleep on the bed. And of course, what's so funny is they decided they wanted in the bed. And so they both dive bombed me and they were trying to get in there. I was like, no way. No, you can sit on the edge of the bed. You guys are too dirty. No. But normally if the dogs if they normally sleep on the bed, then that's fine. I don't care. You know, you just have to be some breeds. You just have to be a little careful. You know, those Boston Terriers, you know, they got some really fierce gas. So they have the tendency to face you when they do that. So you just have to be ready at like 2 o'clock in the morning when that happens. You just make sure you turn over and flip the sheet or whatever over your face. You just have to be ready for that.
So I think of my bed as my sanctuary. Like you know, there's nothing better than like clean sheets and like fresh shower and clean PJs. And like, to me, that's like my sanctuary. So my dogs are not allowed on my bed.
Yeah. You know, it is a good habit to keep them off of your bed, you know, because, you know, as a kid, I grew up with dogs. My Great Danes slept on my bed. He did. He would, and he was so big, and he really wanted to sleep in the bed, which he was not allowed. So when we would leave the house, he would go pull the covers back, get in, and pull the covers back on top of him. And so we would. It was very, very cute. But yeah, not allowed. It is a better habit to keep them sleeping somewhere other than your bed, because it can be cumbersome. You know, if you have a spouse. Sometimes you want to cuddle with your spouse. And so if you've got a dog, a cat, or whatever your chosen pet is that wants to occupy that space, or that sleeps on your head or something weird like that, it can be a little strange.
Oh yeah. So many of my guests are like, I have one over here and one over here. And I'm like,
Yeah, and I normally lose the pillow fight. I do notice that, like with the smaller animals. I usually tell them, yes, I do have conversations with animals when I stay at their house. I do. I tell them, the pillow is mine. You can't sleep on the pillow. And then they're just staring at me. Wait till midnight. Then usually sometime during the night, I wake up and I'm sleeping on like a 2 square inch little block of pillow, and the dog or the cat or whatever has got the rest of it. And so, yeah, I usually lose the pillow fight. So if you just sort of, you got to stake your claim quickly, you know, you got to stake your claim quickly. Yeah. So
I'm sorry, but any animal on my pillow is a no-go for me. All right. What is your most used training command or cue when you're just handling any pet?
Sit. Probably sit. I'm a big sit person. Unfortunately, people don't train their dogs very much. It sounds like they, you know, you would think with as much time and money as we spend on pets, people would train their dogs more. Most people do not. I would say the average person's dog does not know a sit command. They've heard of it, and their parents sort of quasi-taught them to sit. And so my definition of a sit is that your dog will sit and stay seated. Right. It's not a sit if they don't stay seated. And so if they touch their bottom down and they get up, okay, well, that's not a sit. That's like a touchdown. You know, like that's not a sit. And so I do, it's a command that I try to make sure that if I can, I teach them. You know, there's certain things that they need to be able to sit, even just for safety. You know, so
Absolutely.
but sit is probably the biggest one.
What's the least used? What don't you use at all?
Probably lay down. I notice a lot of people tell their dogs to lay down. I don't use that very much, because usually by the time they lay down, they're like, all right, what are we doing down here? Like,
Right.
they're not trying to get up. So, like today, I had to shoot a quick video because I just took over another company and I needed to put a quick video, and take the previous owner off and put another one on. And so I was doing this video, and Tango he's a retired German Shepherd. He's a retired Border Patrol dog, but he's from the Czech Republic. And so I told him to lay down, and George reminded me he speaks German. And I was like, oh, it's like I totally forgot, because he's looking at me like, you want something? and so I'm like, okay, Platz. And so he lays down, but then like he was like, okay, what are we doing down here? He's just, he's trying to get comfortable, and and so usually lay down, you can get them to lay down, but they're like, okay, why don't you join me? We're gonna play down here.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Here? So
they're not gonna get up again.
I don't particularly use that one a lot.
Yeah, we do go lay on the couch, which they do whenever they want to, just because now that we're doing baby led weaning with Mila, like she obviously eats messy and she like spills stuff on the floor. So they're like sharks around her high chair. Yeah, they're circling her high chair. So we're like, go lie down. They don't listen. We taught our dogs sit and stay and lie down and off and all the things, but really the only thing they listen to is a treat in your hand. So if you don't have one, it's like a recommendation or a suggestion. It's not a command of any sort.
That's funny. Yeah, so, I always have that. That's my the kitchen is like, that is the domain where when I work with pets are not allowed. If I am preparing food, whether it's human or dogs, they can stand outside the kitchen and watch if they so choose, but they are not allowed inside the kitchen. And so they stay stable with that.
We have a gate. I finally gave up. And you know what's funny? We have like a peninsula and then just like a tiny entryway into our kitchen. Our kitchen's kind of small. It's not my favorite layout, but it worked because it's just a tiny gate. And it's a short gate. It's nothing cumbersome, right? I don't know why I waited so long to put it in. I had my dog that passed away last year. She was a counter surfer, and I could have saved us so much strife if I had just put that gate in from the minute we moved into this house. I don't know why I didn't do it.
Some houses need them. The overnight that I did, they stole my bagels.
Yep.
Yeah, I came back to the house, and they're big doodles. And I thought that the island was it because it's a big island. I thought the island it's a 2-tier island too, and I put it on the highest part in the middle. And I thought certainly that's gonna. No, they ate my bagels, and it was the guilty bagels too. It was those big fat ones. And they ate a sleeve of 5 bagels. And so, yeah, they ate my
whole sleeve. Yes, that's how Socks was.
Yeah.
She was not like eating one thing.
Oh no.
I had like a muffin that was like wrapped in cellophane, like a plastic wrap, and it was like a big muffin from this bakery in Louisiana, and I'm still waiting for that to like appear. Like it disappeared. She never passed the plastic wrap. I don't know whatever happened to it, but like that was 6 years ago, and that is still a mystery to me, but I'm pretty sure she just ate it and digested that plastic wrap just like she did everything else. Because
I wouldn't have noticed it, except there was a piece of plastic in the living room, and then I said, who ate my bagels? And they were like,
not I. It's amazing how they all speak English at that point when they're in trouble.
So yeah, they ate my bagels.
That's awesome. So how about, what pet related noise do you love?
Pet related noise do you love? I love purring. I think it's funny because some cats, you in the movies, it always is this nice gentle rumble, but a lot of cats purr like an engine. Like, it's not this cute thing, like, especially like some cats who are a little older, they have like their like senior voice, and so like when they meow, it's like a meow, and then when they purr, it's like it's just this like engine sort of thing going on. But I still think it's really cool though. I think
I just interviewed a holistic vet, and the show
Mhm.
hasn't come out yet. It will come out the week before yours. And he said that he loves purring too. That was his answer. And he said, we don't really know what makes purring happen, but we do
Mm.
know that cats heal their bone injuries twice as fast as other animals. And he kind of implied, like, what if purring is like this self-healing mechanism that cats have?
Well, it's an interesting little like rumble thing, and so I wish someone would do a little bit more research on purring because
I
it
know.
we always were led to believe that purring was because they're happy, but people are starting to say, oh, that's not necessarily true. So I'm like, don't ruin it for me. Come on.
I know. I mean,
Let me think it's just happy.
I do. I always take it as a compliment when a cat purrs around me. So
Yeah. Usually if when
like,
they're purring, they're sort of like, oh, love me more.
yeah,
Come on, love me more.
exactly. They're like, you're okay. I'm enjoying your presence
Yes.
until I'm not, and then I'm gonna scratch you. What pet related noise do you hate?
Yappy barking. Probably yappy barking. Um, Not a fan, especially when it's very consistent. Um,
Yeah.
the barking is a thing where pet owners do need to train their dogs. You don't want your dog barking all the time for nothing because you won't know when something's wrong. So if
Yep.
they're barking because the wind is shifting, or they're barking because the neighbor's walking by, or because the kids are outside, or because of whatever, you'll never know. You'll never know when
Yeah.
there's danger. If you just let them bark at anything for whatever, or they're trying to boss you around, hurry up and get my dinner. They're yapping at you because they want their dinner. If they're allowed to just bark at anything, you'll never know if something is wrong. And
Agreed.
so I think that needs to be sort of worked on. But yeah, the consistent yappy barking is a little bit rough to deal with.
So you won't be adopting a schnauzer anytime soon, will you?
No, uh-uh.
Or
No,
anything really like tiny and yappy. My
no.
mom and my sister loves schnauzers, and my sister lives in a condo in Spain, and like every time he hears anything, it's just like "Rah!" And it's incessant until and
Yeah.
she's of course she's an okay like dog trainer, maybe worse than me because I'm not a very good dog trainer either. I let my dogs do whatever they want, pretty much. So she's like yelling at the dog and he's barking louder, and I'm like, I'm on the phone, however many thousands of miles away, being like, well, she's got her dog, I've got my screaming toddler. It's mayhem everywhere.
That's so funny.
What pet related profession, other than the many that you hold right now, because you provide many, many types of services, what other profession would you think is kind of cool to try one day?
I think that it would be cool to be a dog behaviorist or even a cat behaviorist. Quite frankly, there's a lot fewer of them than there are actual dog behaviorists. I find the profession to be quite fascinating because, well, anybody, at least in the state of Florida, can call themselves a dog trainer. Anybody, literally. People are always looking for them, and I almost never recommend them because people have lots of very interesting techniques for training pets. But I think it would be interesting to be a dog behaviorist because there's science behind it. They
Yeah.
don't just walk in and say, "Oh yeah, well we're gonna do this." There's like, okay, let me observe, let me assess, let me do this test, and so they come up with protocols based off of the assessments that they do. And so this is not a shot in the dark. There's
Right.
this gal that I work with, Catherine Harvey. She owns Positive Canine, and she's a dog behaviorist. And she works with vets. She has to testify in court sometimes on animal cases. She's just, and my clients love her. They just love her. And sometimes I'll shoot her videos. I'll send her a video and say, please tell me what is going on with this pet. And she'll send me back like a dissertation. Oh, well, this is happening and that's happening. And is this happening? And she gives me this long, like, write up on what's going on. And it's really great because very often we don't know why dogs do what they do. They do what they do. And we in our heads interpret, well, he barks like that because he just doesn't like it when I open the refrigerator.
Hmm.
Really? Where did you come up with that? How do you know?
Yes.
How do you know
And
that?
and there's so much misinformation and like these
Mhm.
old wives' tales about dogs that you're just like,
Yes.
I mean, for me, it's because I don't really talk about what I do for a living, and I been in the industry for 13 plus years now. So obviously you pick up a thing or two.
Right.
And people will be like, oh, and my dog does this, that, like in the neighborhood. And I'm like, oh, okay. Because I'm not going to tell them that that's crazy or
Right.
BS. I'm not going to give them
Right.
a lesson. They didn't hire me, but I'm like, oh, interesting perspective. And I'm
Yes.
like, out. I'm
Where
done.
did that come from? Yes.
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 I think it would be very interesting to be a dog behaviorist, because just knowing the why behind what they do, that's, and I know that's something that so many owners want. They don't know why their
Yes.
dogs are doing. They're like, why did my dog pee on his dog bed? I don't get it. It's a nice plushy one and it's got the memory foam and I don't and so that you're just wondering, you're just left to your own devices. And so to have someone come in and actually help you, it is, I think that would be really cool. Very,
yeah.
very
And
cool.
actually, I'm the kind of person that I'm very analytical. So I kind of want to know
Mm-hmm.
the why before I know I want to know the why before I know how to fix the behavior or how to
Right.
change the behavior. I don't want you
Right.
just to give me like, this is what we're going to do to change it. I want to know why so that I can truly understand the steps that I'm taking to make it better.
Right.
If your behaviorist friend wants to be on the show, please let her know that I would love to have her.
Oh, I will tell her. She is just great. She really is into education too, because there's a lot of myths behind dog behavior and a lot of stuff on dominance and all this other stuff that we're taught and things like that. And it's wild to just listen to her, because you really got to like change your perspective. You almost have to deprogram yourself. Because there's still a large part of the animal world that still believes a lot of those things. And so we're evolving. But it's really great to have something that's science-based, which is difficult for some people because, for a few years now, science has really been taking a hard hit. We've sort of all of a sudden started acting as if science hasn't gotten us anywhere, and we don't know, we don't know what's science, what's that. And the reality is science has gotten this planet where it is. We have advanced because of science. And we need to be grateful for every scientist that came before us, whether they made mistakes or not. We need to be grateful for those people, because now we have answers for things that we didn't have answers for. And she does really great work. Sometimes I just wish I had her mind. Like, I wish I had her mind. I'm like, just help me.
She's probably been doing it for a long time if she has this skill, because these are, the science is always evolving. I mean, that whole dominance thing came from a really flawed scientific study, right? So like, we've been using it for however long, but it's only now that people are like, well, these are the flaws in that study, and now we are going to do better studies that prove that that wasn't the best study, but it taught us something, just not what the general population ran with.
Yeah, so it's definitely it's very, very interesting, and she has some very interesting thoughts on some things that people do, shock collars, crating, and all those other things like that. I always tell people, go in it with an open mind.
Is she a positive based trainer?
Yeah. Yes, she is. And so I always tell people, go in it with she's not going to give you a shock collar. And if you've got one, she's going to insist that you get rid of it. I'm just telling you now. Just telling you now. And so I tell people, just go in it with an open mind, because she's going to change she's going to flip your world around a little bit. You got to just open your mind up, because we've been taught a lot of old school things. I grew up, I'm 50. People used to spank their dogs like they did their kids, and some people still do that. And so, we have to sort of grow. And, if you're always yelling at your dog, do you want to know why your dog's not listening to you? Because you're yelling at your dog all the time. Stop yelling at your dog. Cut it out. Right. Obviously it's not working. If you have to keep
it's like
yelling,
toddlers.
Yes.
Same thing.
It's just like, it's not going to work. And so, but she is great. I will definitely, I will give you her information, and I'll give her yours. But she's really, really great. I refer to her a lot.
Awesome. I always want to learn on this show. So I feel like if I'm learning, I know pet parents are learning. So she sounds like a perfect guest. What pet related profession would you never want to try?
Well, I don't think that I would want to be a groomer. I deeply respect their work. I do. But people don't understand the work that groomers do. They don't understand what goes on. They think that they're little sweet little Bonnie goes on into the groomer and just sits there nice and pretty. They don't know that their little dog is like snipping away at the groomer, and they don't understand. There's a lot that goes into it. I deeply respect them. I don't know how they do their work. I don't know how they keep their temper under control.
Yes.
There's a lot of pets, because people treat a lot of their pets like I wanted to say like children, but not even like that. Something different than children. They really put them on a pedestal. That a lot of pets are not treated like pets anymore. And so when they go to get groomed, it's like, why are you touching me? Stop that. Hey, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Hold on a second. You're not supposed to hold. You're supposed to hold me. Come on. And so I don't want to be clean. Leave my feet alone. And so they get bitten a lot. I mean, there's just a lot of, there's a lot of things that get peed on. I mean, just they really go through it. And actually a lot of groomers are stopping to take certain breeds, mostly the smaller ones. They're discontinuing it because they say, hey, my hands are my work. If I don't have my hands, I can't make a living. And so I can't have dogs biting me. And so, but a groomer, no. So even as a kid, we used to send my dog out to the groomer. There was no bathtub thing. No, we sent him out for it.
Agreed. I mean, our dogs hate it. So like we rarely do it. I mean, we might bathe them once a year, to be honest, because they're short-haired dogs and they shed, and we brush them often, and they don't really do anything gross. They don't go anywhere in the creeks or anything like that. So we may send them to get bathed properly once a year, and the vet cuts their nails and such, so they get what they need. But grooming is not something that we do. It kills your back, because in the hose, and the dog's trying to get away, and they hate it, so we don't force them to do it often. I just interviewed the first groomer for Uncovered in Pet Hair, and she used to groom cats, but she had such a bad cat bite she got medical attention. The doctor cleaned it out, sewed it up, and then had to go back in because it got terribly infected. So like you said,
cat bites are the worst. I think cat bites are much worse than dog bites. I had to break up it wasn't a fight. I was doing an overnight, and one of the dogs grabbed a cat that was in the yard. And so this horrible wrestling match ensued, me trying to get the cat away from the dog, and then I finally got the cat away from the dog, and the cat was too weak to jump over the fence. And so the dog got the cat again, because when the cat jumped up, she only made it halfway up the fence. And so whole long thing. And so in the middle of all of this, I got bit by both of them. The cat bite, of course, cat bites they're fierce. And it's a kind of pain that's like, what in the world happened to me kind of thing. It was really, really awful. But cat bites are really bad. They're bad bites. Like literally they stick with you. Dog bites, but cat bites, they stick with you. They're gonna, next month, you're gonna still feel that. They hurt. They hurt really badly. But yeah, that was a that was a very interesting little thing. So yeah, I can understand her not wanting to do it anymore.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, they do have cat muzzles, but it is a little difficult to groom if you got a muzzle on a cat. So it's kind of hard to get them all cleaned up.
I mean,
and they're different than dogs. Dogs are like, I don't like you, I'm mad at you. Cats are like, I'm going to scratch your eyeballs out.
Exactly.
I hate you.
So what's funny is you'll commiserate with this, because you run a pet care business, and I used to run a pet care business, and we had a client once demand that the pet sitter brush the cat's teeth every single day. And so the pet sitter, who was one of my stars, who would do anything that the client asked for, like literally never was like, during the in-home consultation is told to brush a cat's teeth that she doesn't know. And she's like, I will be happy to do that. And I'm like, did you ever think that the cat was going to be like, no? So she tried, and the cat would not let her even near him, let alone brush his teeth. And he got really mad that she insisted. And when I told the client was like, he lets me brush his teeth. And I'm like,
that's your cat.
I understand cats. Like cats, he's made it clear. She's like, you should try. Do you have somebody else who would try? And so me being, customer service, I have somebody else who's willing to try. I can't guarantee you that she can brush his teeth, but she's going to go in fresh and try to socialize with him. No teeth brushing until they've established a relationship. That cat was like, get out of here, lady. You fed me, go. And she wouldn't believe us that they were like amazing cat people with like a ton of experience and like tons of responsibility, retirees. You know what I mean? Like these were not like kids that had no idea what they were doing. And she was super disappointed that we couldn't brush her cat's teeth.
People don't understand that their pets are going to act differently when they're gone. They think that their pets are going to act the exact same way. And I try to explain to people, just because you can do this or that doesn't mean that I can. And then I tell them, how come I can get your dog to sit and you can't?
Exactly.
See, it's the same thing. You know, your
like
dog is going to do a certain set of things with me and a certain set of things with you. Teeth brushing should start early. And if it's not, you're behind, you're really behind the curve. I mean, this month is Pet Dental Month. And so I've been going around to my groomers and vets and things like that and giving them toothbrushes and saying, please give them to your clients, because usually by the time that you have to actually remove a tooth, it's usually not one, it's usually 4, 5, 6, 10. Yep. It's a lot of them. And it's the number one problem in dogs. It's the number one leading health cause, the number one cause for health problems in dogs is poor upkeep of their teeth, because basically their teeth are rotting in their head. But if you don't start your cats or your dogs off with that, you know, and just work them into it, because then it's just normal for them. They will sit there, you know, they'll sit there while you just, you know, do that. And some of them won't take the long toothbrush. Some of them you have to do the one that's just the little finger toothbrush that you just stick your finger in. Some of them will do that. Some of them, you know, it just depends. But it does have to be done. But if you think some stranger is going to come along and do it, that's probably not going to happen with a cat. Not with a cat.
And it's just like paws being touched and mouth being touched and ears being touched. You need to do this constantly so that when they do go to the vet or the groomer or wherever they go, they're kind of used to it. And it's obviously in a gentle way, in a helpful way, but they need to be able to be touched in these places that are somewhat more sensitive so that we get them used to it. Just like taking a kid to the dentist early on so they get used to it, even if the dentist just shines a light in their mouth and then says, here's a toothbrush, thanks for coming, right?
Right. They do have to get used to it, but I think that goes back to the thing where a lot of people don't treat their pets like pets. They treat them like these sort of like gods, you know, and so if your pet is like that, when they go to the vet, they're like, who are all these enemies here? And do I need to kill them all? And so it's like they're not used to being handled. They're not used to anything. And you don't want to have to burrito a cat to give it a shot or put a muzzle on a dog if you don't have to. I mean, if they're used to these things, you don't want to have to knock out a dog to clean their teeth. I mean, seriously, if you start brushing their teeth when they're younger, then you probably won't have that problem. But if you wait till they get older, when they've got 5 layers of plaque and tartar on it, that's not coming off with a toothbrush.
And especially little breeds have these teeth that get damaged so much that, like you said, they have like 10 teeth removed at a time.
Yeah, and it's like, I'm so serious about toothbrushing. This conversation usually goes like this. Okay, so we did a little thing last week, and usually that means tooth extractions. And I'm like, how many? That's usually what they mean, is that and usually they'll say 5 or more. Because if you have to extract a tooth, it's rare if you're extracting one, unless they bit down on something and broke the tooth or something to that effect. But normally if they're extracting, it's a lot of them.
Because there's so much damage.
Yeah, so much damage. And like, if you're like that cute puppy breath, they should keep that cute puppy breath. But
it becomes horrid. I mean, I have a Pomeranian who's 12, and we did not start early with him, and he does not allow us to brush his teeth. And he's had not that many teeth removed, but he probably is due for a dental. And I can only imagine that they would find plenty wrong in there just from the smell.
Yeah, and it's but I think too, on the dental side, there's some things that a lot of pet owners don't know. Like, you do have to change their water. A lot of people don't change their pets' water because they think, well, it's just water, but they're not thinking, my dog licks their paws, their anus, their penis. They're licking all these things. They're walking outside. they've got nasty saliva in their mouth, and they put it in the bowl, and then all that stuff, like that slimy stuff. Like I always ask people, do you know what biofilm is?
Yes.
Yeah, that stuff is nasty. It's like it's gross. That slimy stuff in the water and the food bowls, that's actually not supposed to be there.
Right.
They need to be not just put new water in there. You need to get some soap and a scrubber. Actually, in the area where my employees pick up supplies, there are scrubbers in there because we have some clients who don't wash the bowls. I'm like, if it's that bad, pick up a scrubber because
Yep.
you're not going to be able to get anything to get that off. That doesn't come off with even hot water. I've tried boiling water. I've tried everything. Nope, you have to get scrubbers and soap to get that off of there. But it needs to be done.
You're no matter what kind of food the pet is eating, you need to wash those bowls. When we provided services too, like I would tell my staff members, so the dog doesn't want to talk to you anymore. They're tired. They've gotten their walk. They want to go to their crate and relax. You still have time on the clock, go wash the bowls. You know what I mean? Like, because pet parents, even the most meticulous pet parent, is probably not washing the bowl as often as they need to. They technically should be washed as often as our plates are washed.
Right. I think my staff, they know I'm crazy. Like when I train them, that's the first thing I'm like, this bowl needs to be cleaned every single time you come here. Yes. I don't care if there's food in it. If that food looks new, then fine. Get a paper towel, dump it out, clean that bowl, dry it out. And don't just, if you use hot water, be careful. Make sure you cool down the bowl, because if you leave the bowl hot and then you wipe it out and you put the kibble in there, that will create moisture, and then that kibble will stick to the bowl. I mean, like there's so many weird things that you need to wash under the bowl. This is Florida. We get a lot of mold issues here.
Exactly.
So you have to clean the entire bowl.
We run ours in the dishwasher and on sanitize, and it's the only way that you could really remove that little bit of extra film that even, you know, like you said, scrubbing, soap, doesn't matter. Like it does not come off unless it's a super high temperature or like a really, and we have stainless steel. So I don't like to scrub too hard because it'll scratch it all up. So I just throw it in a few times a week into the dishwasher when it's empty. Just run your dishes, your dog bowls in there. I mean,
I tell my staff, if it's that bad, come and get one of the scrubbers. And I have different ones. I've got the non-scratch scrubbers, but then I also have these. I forget what those things are called. They're kind of rough when you get them. They're brown. And you sort of unwind them, and they're sort of strange, but man, they get anything off of anything. I love those things. I'm like, just come get one.
Send me a link to that and I'll put it in comments.
Yeah, I'll have to go get one. And I love those things. They look weird. And like I said, they feel scratchy when you open it, but when you wet it, it does soften a bit. But it was better than, because I stayed at a house for like 10 days, I think. And the first couple nights, I had 3 pots of water on the stove, boiling, mind you, and pouring boiling water into these bowls, and they were still nasty, slimy, gross. Ew. And so I was like, okay, Amazon, hold on. Hang on a second. Looking around on Amazon. And so when I tried those work really good. They work really, really good. I'll have to send it to you.
Yes, please do.
Yeah. Love those. So
I have one more question, and this is where we get a little introspective. I call this part of the show, and it's only for YouTube, I call it last call, because at the end of the night, when you've been at the bar all night, you kind of get a little introspective. And it's also what we call like the last time we let our dogs out at night. We call it last call. So I'll be like, last call, everybody, go potty. So it works. But I have a question that kind of digs in a little bit deeper, and it's, if the Rainbow Bridge exists, who is the first pet to greet you when you arrive?
The first pets to greet you when you arrive, honestly, you're going to die. I would say pitties are right there. They are the mushiest dogs. They are so mushy. They are just face licking, happy. You know, people think that pitties are mean. I'm like, you show me a mean pitty and I'll show you a mean owner.
Yes,
they are what they are what they're trained to be. So if you rescued a pitty and you got a mean one, somebody wasn't nice to that. Somebody trained, and a lot of people still do that. They like that. They like that bad boy kind of image that pitties have. you know, they put chains on them, all this weird stuff. I'm like, they are the mushiest dogs. They're so good with kids.
Yes.
They're just roll over. I mean, they're right there. They're like, oh, totally babies. I mean, just absolute babies. Literally, like you can put clothes on pitties that you can't put on other dogs. You could put my friend's got one, and she's got that woman. Got way too much clothes for that dog, but I think
you mean Jessica?
Yes.
Yes, she was on the show, and we talked about that. And you know who picks out all her clothes is Chris, her husband.
That's so funny. That's hysterical. I'm like, wait a minute. This is a completely different outfit than yesterday.
Yes.
And this is a completely like, what's going on here?
Jessica has to stop him at like Walmart or like wherever they go. She has to be like, enough. She has enough. I think it's Abby the pitty, Abby the staffy. I'll put the social media links. So Jessica has to tell Chris like she has enough outfits. That's enough. So
funny. Just too funny. Yeah. But they're super duper mush. They're just mushy dogs. Yeah. If you're a binge watcher, grab your pitty. You'll be from here to next year. They're right there. They're really cool dogs.